So we're here today with John Balme, Director of Music at Christ Church in Middletown. John, a lot of people are curious about your backstory. How long have you been Director of Music and Organist at Christ Church? What made you decide to take the position?
Well, I had spent about 23 years working for St. Michael's, the Catholic Church in Long Branch, and then there was a complete change of staff. And so my wife Cindy and I thought, we might get some weekends together. And then our senior warden, Paul Dawson, who's in a choir that Cindy and I run called Concordia Chorale, came up to me and said, "John, do you know anybody who plays the organ and can conduct a choir?" And it takes a lot to dumbfound me, but that question got me good. And Cindy just went, "Oh no." And sure enough, about a month later, I was here playing for Nancy, and then when she retired, I took over. That was in about 8 years ago.
And ahead of this interview, I reread your bio from the Christ Church webpage on staff. Given your background in opera, was it difficult to make the transition to church music? And what things surprised or challenged you about the position?
Actually, I came out of a church environment. I was raised in Africa till I was 8. Then my parents sent me back to boarding schools in England, which was the standard thing. And I was the obnoxious high boy soprano who led the hymns at Mass. This was a Catholic school. And when I got to high school, there was a choir. And then when I went on to college, of course, there were lots of choirs. So I was immersed in choral music from the very beginning, and in church music. I was very lucky at high school that my organ teacher was one of the most eccentric and most brilliant virtuoso organists, and organ lessons always took at least 3 hours. Just played havoc with my homework. So I then went to college and just happened to drift into opera because they were looking for pianists to play in the opera department and were paying. So that then grew and grew and grew. I came to the States and then started moving into working for major opera companies, and then took over one of my own, and so did that. And so when I came back into, first of all, teaching, and then into church work, it was a natural, it's sort of the circle completed.
And my last question is, you play multiple instruments. Do you have a favorite?
Oh, I'll get in trouble for this one. I mean, here at Christ Church, I'm obviously primarily an organist, which is actually number 2 on my list. I think of myself as a pianist, first of all. All musicians, if you poke them hard enough, have some instrument which is their center. And I would have to say, as much fun as the organist, because you can make an enormous amount of noise, and it's very challenging and difficult, but exciting. But the piano has intimacies about it that are very, very special. But that said, if I were to come back in another life, I would want to come back as a classical guitar player, because that is actually the music I listen to all the time. To me, that is the perfect music.
John, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
You're